What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Mutant Mondays, a series where we celebrate everything X-related. In my previous video, I dove into some of the reasons why the X-Men stand out amongst so many other super teams within the world of comics. Part of that alluded to the X-Men's place within the greater Marvel Universe. That segues into what I want to do this week is kind of dive into and dissect one specific moment, a fantastic moment in one of my favorite not only Marvel events, but full comic book industry events, and that is Civil War, specifically Civil War #3. And it kind of just, if you haven't read Civil War, it's one of my favorite events, and obviously the MCU movie did its version of that, which obviously paled in scale to what comics could do. Quick rundown of Civil War follows the New Warriors filming a reality show of them trying to do their thing and failing miserably at it. And it makes it even worse, they run into a real one. They run into Nitro. I don't know who else might have accompanied Nitro, but Nitro is no one to play around with. I don't even know the technical, the official phrasing of his abilities, but basically he can blow himself up and he can reconstitute himself. So New Warriors, Nitro, they try to go at him, try to just kind of earn their stripes on him. It goes horribly wrong. Nitro uses powers and destroys a whole bunch of property. More importantly, tons of people in Stamford, Connecticut. And I'm talking hundreds, as I know the casualty count was somewhere between 6 and upwards of 800. And there might even been some continuity issues with that, with Civil War and some of the tie-ins, but it was a lot of people died. Included in those were lots of kids. So this kind of, again, led it to the Superman Registration Act. Hey, you can't just be out here using your powers all willy-nilly, because there are consequences for that. And what it stemmed was Team Iron Man, ideologically, hey, we need you to register. You're going to be part of the government. And if you're not, hey, we're throwing your ass under the jail. And a lot of people said, hey, we're with that. There needs to be some accountability for this and some oversight. Other people said, hey, you can't do this. This putting even more lives and not even just relationship, but it's just lives and well-being in jeopardy. So hey, I'm anti-registration all day. We're not doing that. Tony Stark, you still haven't paid for your crimes, goddammit. And rest in peace, Goliath. And you too, Reed Richards. So anyways, Civil War, that's kind of the impetus of Civil War and leading into this moment here. So shortly before this, Tony Stark had recruited Peter Parker to the pro registration side. Iron Spider gave him the Iron Spider costume, which we all love and adore because it looks cool. So price to that was unmasking. So now Peter Parker's identity is well out there. Tony Stark's riding high. What's next? Let's go to the X-Men, go see some mutants, and try to recruit some of them to our side. Maybe that can sway some favor in our direction, in their direction, not ours, because I'm not on that side, but in their direction. And some mutants on any side are a great asset. So he goes to meet Emma Frost, aka the White Queen. So they're having a lovely little meet and lunch, I believe, brunch, if you want. And they just kind of lays his case out, and they kind of get into it, which leads into one of my favorite quotes. It's something I posted on Tumblr when I used to use that, posted on Twitter, just dropping some comic book quotes that have always kind of stuck with me. And this moment, as a big X-Men fan, is one of those. And it was immediately you know what? I immediately identified with this and this moment, because we look at the X-Men's place within the Marvel Universe, and there's always been conflict amongst heroes, especially when you talk about these Marvel DC, these wide, these huge shared universes of characters, good people, bad people, just civilians, people in the middle, and all these characters involved. And there's bound to be conflict, not just good and evil, but yes, there has been plenty of conflict between superheroes, individuals, maybe individuals on individuals versus a group, and so on. And the X-Men have seen their fair share of that. The X-Men versus the Avengers have seen their fair share of that, versus each other on multiple occasions for different reasons. You can go back to Blood Ties, AVX, and even there was another miniseries. It was Avengers vs. X-Men, X-Men vs. Avengers, something like that. So they've gone head to head, specifically in like smaller events or miniseries, as well as in just smaller crossovers between X titles and Avengers titles. So here's another one, like, hey, you know what? Ideologically, we do not see eye to eye with your conflict. And like a lot of people, I've seen a lot of people just looking back at this, like a lot of people who didn't even like Emma Frost because, hey, she's had a fair share of time being an asshole. That's who Emma Frost is. She's the White Queen, and the Inner Circle, Hellfire Club. She's done her fair share of damage. So a lot of people never really either saw eye to eye with the character or just really didn't want to connect with her because of that, but saw this like, hey, you know what? Maybe she's not all bad because she has her way. That's who Emma Frost is. But I wanted to just kind of highlight this one specific in this cool page here because of this conversation and the end quote to this. So you see here, Tony Stark, even with 90% public backing, and that boyfriend of yours so keen to curry favor with the White House again? Perhaps we just know what it's like to be persecuted while you're fighting the good fight, Mr. Stark. Ask the moms and dads in Stanford if they think Captain America's still fighting the good fight. Oh, please, don't try to blackmail me with genocide. Do you really want to compare notes? And then Emma Frost, using her abilities, just kind of takes them back in time to Genosha. Where were the Avengers when Genosha died, Iron Man? Where were you when our babies were burning? So this moment here, the genocide of Genosha, was it was like just an absolutely insane moment in the world of the X-Men and mutants. Charles Xavier had a sister, Cassandra Nova. Now we're gonna get weird here. He tried to kill her when they were in the womb together. Yes, like comics are weird. We love them. Who just doesn't love comics? So as we're not gonna go too far into that, but just go into some of the new X-Men run. Grant Morrison, he introduced a lot of stuff, including her, and all of the madness that ensued. So what she did was she kind of used one of Trask's later relatives to commandeer two massive Sentinels, and they went to Genosha and they just completely decimated it. Just mutant lives. Mutants were just slaughtered in the whole to a high number. I don't remember, was it 16 million? But tons of mutant lives were burning and just destroyed and lost. And Genosha became no longer the paradise it was, and became nothing but a wasteland of memories and sorrow. And that's where we go back to Emma Frost's quote. Where were the Avengers? Where were you when our babies were burning? Because the world of mutants, nobody, again, protecting the world, protecting people that fears and hates us. So when their world is in danger, like Cassandra Nova and her massive Sentinels, and just any of the threats that have specifically faced the X-Men, where was their help? Where were the Avengers, Earth's mightiest heroes? We're on Earth, we're mutants. Why didn't you help us? Where were you? Now, obviously, you get into grand scheme of things. Who remembers what the hell the Avengers were even doing at the time? But within the fictional world, hey, all we know is the Avengers weren't there for us. That would have been a nice helping hand. Stop Cassandra Nova and the Sentinels and Trask. This descendant of Bolivar Trask. So that always just stuck with me, and it was just those two speeches, right? Like that speech bubble set right there. It's always stuck with me as one of my favorite just exchanges, and that's why I kind of said before, Tony Stark and Reed Richards, I feel like they still haven't even paid for their crimes from Civil War, and that happened before this exchange, Civil War II, especially with Goliath. So having all of that, and now you want us to join your registration, your pro-registration side, the X-Men, you're talking about like the X-Men registering with you and becoming part of this government entity? No, not a chance in the world. So it just, again, I just always like that because just that, first of all, just that exchange period, it was just well written there. And just the idea of him even trying to go, it was just cool because you have to show both sides. And Emma Frost, like, no, like Emma Frost is a hard ass. She's not gonna take any of your nonsense. So she's definitely gonna call you out on it. And it was great. And I feel like this swayed people to Emma Frost's side. Like, hey, you know what? There might be more to her, and obviously there is. She is a multi-layered character and has been for decades now. So, but this just, like, man, just highlights just how the X-Men are viewed and just solidifies their place within the greater Marvel universe. And like, hey, you know what? When we were facing our threats, people aren't there. We lost babies too. Like, we lost tons of mutant lives. Again, this Genosha is nothing. Now I don't know what it is, but at the time, like, Genosha was, it was just wild. Like, I think there are several shots of just complete decimation and destruction. And it was just wild. Just, plus the whole Cassandra Nova thing, a lot of that was just kind of weird and leads into Cerebra and Danger. And it's just, again, comics can be weird. Especially you got Grant Morrison and all that stuff. And some several artists who helped bring that to life. But I just wanted to do that for Mutant Mondays and just kind of just highlight this specific moment and put it out there. Just in case some of you might not even heard if you've never read New X-Men or even Civil War. Because even if you just read Civil War, never read New X-Men, you might have been curious what the hell they were even referencing, and what was that shot behind Emma Frost. And that, my friends, was Genosha in the bones of mutants who had just been destroyed. So, just gonna wrap it up for this episode of Mutant Mondays. Let me know what you thought of this and just the X-Men's place within the greater Marvel universe. Were you one of those people that read Civil War, that didn't read New X-Men, and didn't know about this event, this catastrophe that had happened to all these mutant lives? Or maybe you read New X-Men but didn't read Civil War and didn't know that it had been kind of referenced and brought back and called back upon, which I think is great. So yeah, share your thoughts in the comments below. Happy reading, happy hunting, happy collecting. This is GENOTHADRAGON. Thanks for watching, and peace out.